Welcome to Dream Body Alchemy, the podcast that fearlessly explores empowering transformations by unlocking the dormant vitality within your DNA, reshaping your mindset and unveiling your true essence, propelling you towards profound healing and expansion. Join your host, Melissa Valentine, as you embark on this journey to rewrite your story, one of activation, body alchemy, and the unapologetic embodiment of your boldest self.
These are the 7 steps that I took that you can also take to reinvent yourself and embrace your next level. So there are things that we need to leave behind so that we can step into our next level, to reinvent ourselves. It's a process of letting go, getting out of our comfort zone, and being ready to be who we desire to be versus how people perceive us. The first thing that I really had to do, and this is probably one of the harder things, is letting go of a negative mindset. It's that voice in your head that's chiming in and constantly putting you down. It can be, at least in my case, it can become a self-talk, this negative talk that almost becomes a ritual, where it's just something you're used to doing. And it can, like for me, stem from things when I was growing up, being told, who do you think you are? You think you're better than everyone else. And so to survive, you get into a place where your brain, your ego tells you, who do you think you are? Here's all the reasons why you're not this version. This is why you're not good enough. It can come from a mindset of victimhood or even scarcity. And it's something that I really do believe can be quite addictive. So you have to be aware of it when it's happening and deleting those type of thoughts. It can be as simple, and maybe it seems silly, when something pops up, to one, realize that it's not us that is saying this. There's a lot of thoughts can pop into your head that are not necessarily originating from you. And so the easiest thing that you can do is when something pops up and you don't want to have that thought or have that mindset be wired in, is to simply say, delete. That is not me. I don't believe that. Same thing can go when maybe judgmental thoughts pop up about other people. So if you're in a space, maybe you're at the gym or somewhere else, and someone walks in and they're wearing an outfit that you wouldn't wear, the thought might come up, what is she wearing? Why would she wear that? That thought can come up and you don't have to identify with it. You can say, delete. Because what happens is when this negativity comes up, one, like I said, it is something that the mind, the ego tends to focus on more. It looks for what's wrong to kind of keep us safe, like it did in our childhood, so that we would fit in, so we continue to get the love and we'd get the things that we needed to survive. So we shut off all the positive parts so that we might be able to fit in better, whether it's with our families, with friends, society in general. The more we think it, the more it gets ingrained. So it's like a feedback loop. And because we are being bombarded by information, let's say 200 bits per minute or second, we generalize, we bring it all the way down to 200 bits. But we have to realize that we are allowing what information is going to come in and become our new filter. So when certain thoughts, negative things come to us about ourselves or from the outside world, we can just say delete, interrupt the pattern. And each time you begin to interrupt that pattern, you are sending less and less information into that instant filter. And so you start to control the information that is allowed to come in. And again, because we are generalizing everything, we are dialing in millions of bits of information into a couple little tiny bits. we have that control of what bits we begin to perceive in our reality. And that's our own thoughts too. One way to really help with that is creating a faith-based practice, something where you maybe have a connection to a higher power, whatever that might be for you. Another thing that I do with my clients is, because sometimes those energies can be originating from the body, because emotions and events get stored in the body and then they come up. And then when they come up, we attach things to them. We attach stories and thoughts to the energies that come up within us. Like if you're feeling, let's say you're feeling anxious or you're feeling tightness in your chest, we attach a story as to why that is happening. So the other thing that you can do to get much further ahead is to go ahead and be able to release those low-level energies, emotions from the body. So ones that originated when we were in the womb, when we were tiny little babies, when we were children, they just connect. And so every time that negativity comes up, it's like another pearl. And it's called a gestalt, and it's just another pearl. And so when that negativity comes up, it pulls up negativity from our whole life, not just in that moment. So if you can snip that first one, get in, release it. Usually there's life-changing lessons in this practice. Then you can come to a place where your energy is up higher. And that brings me to my second step, is decoding your beliefs, your core beliefs, the things that you believe at your core, the things that run your day-to-day life. So because you can only think and believe things that resonate at that level, if you want to believe higher frequency thoughts, if you want to elevate your identity, you need to be in a frequency that resonates with it. So I would say you want to figure out, what do you believe about yourself? Really give yourself some time and think, what do I believe about myself? Write it down. Does it serve you? Again, we get to create this character we're playing every single day. There is nothing in us that says we have to be how we have been. In each moment, we get to reinvent ourselves. So determine if what you believe about yourself is serving you. And then the last thing I would say about your core beliefs and decoding them is, what would you need to believe to be the version you want to be? When you're reinventing yourself and you're embracing that next level identity, what would you need to believe to do that? Again, when I work with my clients, this is why we first release low-level energies and we learn how to deal with emotions that come up in the moment, so we're not restoring them in the body and then using coping mechanisms like food or shopping or gossip or other things to deal with them. We release them and then we learn how to process them in the moment, so we're not restoring that in the body. This can often result in unwanted weight. Number 3, to reinvent yourself, is your environment. It's the people, it's the places. You want to be around people and in places and circumstances, in groups, in activities that support your higher version. So you want to remove the people that are gossiping. That is a low-level coping mechanism frequency. You want to get into places and be around people who see you as your highest version. If you are sticking around people who maybe resonated with your old version, keeping them in place is going to keep you in your old identity pattern. Just like they say, when you go back home, maybe it's to where you grew up and you're around old friends, or maybe just being around your family, you fall back into that old personality. And it can come with a lot of negative coping mechanisms. Always being around the people that you used to hang out with when you're at a different frequency, when you had a different identity, one that's not suiting you, not one that you want to maintain and you want to go somewhere else. You want to embrace that next level. Surrounding yourself with people can keep you in that story of your old version. And we don't want to do that. because that old version is not you. That old version is coping mechanisms. That old version of you is conditioning. You have a true version of yourself, a higher version of yourself that is the true you. All of the good qualities. And I talk a lot about this with a little bit with human design, but more with something called the gene keys, where it talks about your shadow. And so when you're in low frequency, what happens with the shadow version of you versus your gifts? We want to move you from that story of all the shadows and move you towards your gifts, your higher version. Number 4. Oh, the other thing I would say about environment, I would say your actual environment. So the place that you live, what are you surrounding yourself with? Are you surrounding yourself with beautiful nature and things that make you happy and make you feel like you're living that version of yourself? What kind of, bedding would your next level version have? Is our house going to be clean or is it going to be cluttered? Like, you want to surround yourself with things and environments that allow you to step into that next level identity. Number 4, your appearance. So how do you want to be perceived? How do you want to feel? And so this is really about embodiment. The clothes you wear. How do you take care of yourself? Do you live every day in sweatpants? I'm not going to lie, I do live most days in sweatpants, but I try to, get the sweatpants that look the nicest, that feel good. I do my makeup, I do my hair, I put on my jewelry. Like, I do the things that make me feel more embodied. Like, this is the version, this is how I would show up. So if you're someone who tends to wear stained clothes, even if you are a stay-at-home mom or you work from home, how are you showing up every day? How are you embodying this version when you're in the home, when you're leaving the house? Wearing the things that make you feel like the version that you want to be on a daily basis. Number 5, when you want to step into this next level, when you want to reinvent yourself, you have to have the mind, body, and spirit aligned. The mind is going to follow the body. I'm going to say how important it is to be healthy and fit, to the best of your ability, taking care of your vessel. Because to be that next level self, to reinvent yourself, I talk a lot about energy, but this is a requirement because your body is in the level of what I call the 200 level. This is where a lot of the discipline comes from, a lot of accountability, discipline, working out, moving your body. Moving your body is going to keep you healthy, but moving your body more than that is going to allow you to keep your energy up so that your mindset can be elevated, so that your frequency can be higher. And you can't do that necessarily if you're not taking the best care of yourself. Obviously, some people have restrictions, that what those are, but I'm speaking in generals, having a strategy that aligns with your health, that keeps you energized, that keeps you vital. And again, this strategy is going to be different for everyone. Your health strategy might not be running, especially if you're someone who can't run. Your health strategy, like for me to really stay healthy and vital, I need to transcend the old negative energies. I need to release. So things like negative stories, old hurts, forgiveness, grace, even things like letting go of material things that aren't serving me, things that are holding me down, that are owning me. Anything that I can let go of that is low energy, including material things, is what's going to keep me radiant, healthy, vital, energized. For someone else, like my son, who I bring up because I'm more familiar with the people that are closest to me because I read their energies, he needs to work out really hard. Like, he needs to lift heavy. He needs to challenge himself. That is not going to keep me radiant. I do lift, I do work out. Most of my cardio is either dancing. Every once in a while, I like to challenge myself. But my true vitality, health, and radiance comes from letting go. Other people, it's about being present and still. Here, I like to talk a little bit more about movement just because that is important for most people, is having some kind of movement. But again, it needs to be in line with your strategy, your energetic strategy, and it's going to be different for everyone. But some kind of movement is going to be very important, because without this energy being taken care of, you have very hard time staying up in those higher vibe places. And you're more likely, if you're not moving in these 200 frequencies, you are going to be more likely to go to low level energy. And we talked about that in one of the podcasts about mechanisms and moving to inspired action. And those low level energies are apathy, fear, cravings, anger, frustration, overwhelm, content. Content isn't as low, but if you're just content, it's much easier. Let's say content is right here, and then this is where the body is. It's right on the cusp of those low-level energies, and that's where disease, unwellness, overweight, all of these things manifest into the body. So moving your body is a huge part from bringing you from low level to mid level and allowing you to ascend to those higher energy levels where you are wanting to reinvent yourself and embracing that higher level energy. Physical movement and exercise is very important for that. Number 6 is balancing the masculine and the feminine energy. So a lot of times I talk about the feminine. And the reason why I talk a lot about feminine on my podcast, when I write on Facebook, is because a lot of the women I speak to are stuck more in a masculine energy. They're stuck in a lot of doing. This energy is not toxic. It's only toxic when it's imbalanced. So if you're stuck in a place of doing, hustle, grind, frustration, overwhelm, and those sound kind of negative, but if you're stuck there and you're not balancing, this is going to keep you at a lower vibration. We want to get to a place where we're reinventing ourselves and we are honoring both sides, because we don't want to villainize any side of us. And we all have masculine and feminine energies. You can't reinvent yourself while also disowning a part of yourself. And I find a lot of women who are successful, who are driven, who are ambitious, a lot of times, not all the time, because I'm surrounded by a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of business people who are very elevated in their energy levels, because that's the only way you can sustain health and success, is by not just embracing, but really owning both sides. So what does that look like? That means finding a balance between the boundaries, your routines, and all your doings, your actions, and along with flow, spirituality, being, creativity. It's finding the ebbs and flows and being able to balance both of them. So again, a lot of my clients, because they're already driven and ambitious and they've found a level of success in their career or financially, what I find is they have this energy of courage, but they've gotten there through that masculine doing energy, the hustle. But a lot of times it can't be maintained because it's so much effort. And so a lot of times they tend to self-sabotage to find relief in their lives. And this brings them down to lower energies. This causes them to gain weight, to have certain addictions and coping mechanisms. So we want to find a place where we can insert and find that balance of more flow and spirituality. And number 7, it's finding that ability to take action right now, not waiting, not coming up with a plan, not saying, oh, I'll reinvent myself next week, or coming up with excuses. It's taking action right now, doing these things right now, implementing them right now, stepping into that version of yourself, that next level, reinventing yourself right. You don't have to go through anything to get this done. You can make a choice right now, what you're going to allow in your life and what you are not going to allow in your life, what aligns with you and what doesn't. I hope you guys enjoyed that. As always, if you like this information, Subscribe if you want to hear more. And please leave a comment. I would love to know which of these 7 things you want to take action on now. And as always, if you are interested in working with me more deeply with the Dream Body Alchemy method or in the Aligned Body Awakening program or any of my other offerings, let me know, reach out. I am on podcast, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Dream Body Alchemy, and we can find a way that works best for you. As always, I work with ambitious and driven women, and it's all about getting results, turning decades into days, where we can make these transformational changes quickly in short amount of time so that you can step into that next level instantaneously. You don't have to wait. All right, guys, I will talk to you guys next time. Love you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Dream Body Alchemy. If you liked what you heard, then be sure to hit like and subscribe. Got a burning question for Melissa or a topic you'd love her to discuss on the show? Get in touch. Follow us on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Dream Body Alchemy and Instagram at Dream Body Alchemist. Until next time, keep on glowing and growing. You got this.